Okay, I think we're on. We'll give it a couple of seconds or so. And like I say, they say the third time's a charm. So
Okay.
thank you for being so patient. I'm like, okay, we're 15 minutes into the hour and we're still not on. All right, let's go ahead and get this party started.
Okay.
I like that song. I just love jazz, period. All righty. Okay, well,
Okay.
after all of that, welcome, 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 book lovers. For those of you who are tuning in for the very first time, my name is Tangela Fleming, and welcome to Lit Convos with MP. And yes, you guessed it, I am the MP in Literary Conversations with Madam President. And I'm so excited on tonight. Regarding the guest that I will be having join me on today, the author that I will have joining me on today. And I'm so thankful that she has agreed to come on and discuss the backdrop to her book. But before we do get started, for those of you who are joining us on tonight, definitely feel free to tag, share, and or invite others to this broadcast. All are welcome. And if you don't get a chance to tune into this broadcast, you can always go back and check out the replay. But just moving along and everything, we did have some technical difficulties. So definitely many thanks to author Greenlee for hanging in there with me to get all of that straightened out and everything. So without further ado, I will introduce my author, who is my May 2021 Bridge Book selection, Broken Trust. And that's the book that we're going to be discussing on tonight, her book, Broken Trust. So, welcome, 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 author Vanessa Harris Greenlee. How are you today?
I'm doing well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you again for hanging in there with me and just being so patient um, as to get this broadcast up and off the ground and running and everything. And we're excited because we're halfway through 2021. Can you believe it? We're going on the 6 months
6 months. Yes.
2021 and everything. And it's just like, who would have thought we would be spending this Mother's Day in a pandemic? How was your
Yeah.
Mother's Day?
It was good.
That's good. That's good. I think in some way, shape, form, or fashion, all of us, I'm not a biological mother, but I think all of us, if you have been a child's part of a child's life, that you are a mother in some capacity, some shape, form, or fashion. So
Hmm.
definitely shout out to all of the mothers out there. Happy belated Mother's Day. But just moving right along, like I said, welcome, 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 Arthur Harris Greenlee. Thank you again for joining us on tonight. And just
Okay.
to get started, let's have you go ahead and share with our viewers a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Vanessa Harris Greenlee. I'm originally from Burlington, Kentucky. Um, I moved to Toledo, Ohio, February of 2015. I've been writing books since 2000.
Okay. Okay.
And I published my first book in 2007.
Okay. Okay. So you're not new to this.
I currently have 9 books, and I'm working on 3 more.
Oh wow. Oh wow. That is Very, very impressive. And out of those books, I have had the pleasure of reading this one, Broken Trust. Um, and I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It was a nice read. It definitely kept my attention. And as I stated to you when I was reading it, I could definitely see a sequel to it, just in the way that you wrapped it up and everything. But I definitely enjoyed this book. The storyline, you could follow the storyline. It was, the storyline just flowed, and it just kept your interest because you were just like wanting to know, what was going to happen next and everything. But before we just like dive into the book and everything, can you just share a little bit with us, just regarding the cover of the book? How did you happen to come up with the cover of the book?
The cover, um, one day I was just sitting around and I wanted to like get out and enjoy the nice weather. So I went downtown in our city
Okay.
and I just saw just a beautiful backdrop of the city and I was just snapping pictures.
Okay.
And that's the city line that you're seeing. That's the downtown Toledo, Ohio.
Okay. Okay. And I kind of thought that, that was downtown Toledo, Ohio. And the book itself is based in Toledo, Ohio, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And just surrounding the whole storyline, because it is a fictional read, how did you come up with the concept of this book?
Well, since we're working from home. Um, I hear our television is on in the background, and all day long you're hearing Fraternity Court, you're hearing Maury, you're hearing Steve Wilkos,
Okay.
and people are on there having fraternity tests, and
Okay.
I'm like, I wonder what would it be like if it was a mother and
Okay.
she finds out that the child that she's raising is not hers.
Okay. 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 And I mean, it definitely took some crooks and turns, and I'm just like, this definitely takes a very um, imaginative mind to come up with a lot of the concepts, as far as the different storylines that you had developed in the book itself. The book itself is based in Toledo, Ohio, and it is based around a couple. And uh, the couple, the husband is very successful, a multimillionaire,
Mhm.
and he is married to a woman who he has wanted to be wed to all his life. It seems like ever since ever since he was a little boy, he was like, this was the one for him. But he didn't. He eventually got her. But the way that you started the book off, you started the book off hitting the ground running. It was like oh, okay. You gotta catch up and everything. Cause I'm like, you were like, you just like I say, it was fast paced. It was really fast paced, but I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And like I say, it was very creative. Some of the different storylines, the concepts, I would not have imagined. So you had, some uh, aha moments. I was like, oh, okay. And like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed the book. Like I say, it was one of those books, like you say, I could see these characters on Maury Povich's show. He's a multimillionaire. She's a stay-at-home wife, soon to be mom. They had been married when he finally got her, and he had dealt with some, I would say, childhood trauma, childhood issues that caused him to be the type of man he was. and everything that he brought into his marriage. He was like narcissistic. It's just like you're presenting yourself to your wife one way, and a habitual life. Like you,
Yes.
dude, lie after lie after just with, just, but she would, take him back through all of his issues and everything, just being married all those years. I don't want to give the whole book away, but being married all those years, the one thing that he wanted, she felt like she could not give him, that caused him to be abusive towards her. And then she found out that she was pregnant. And I don't know how much of the book you want me to tell, because she finds out that, she's pregnant, and, he's elated at that point. And he kind of like, turns the corner as far as his treatment towards her.
Yep.
And everything. So he goes from just being this, in my opinion, mentally abusive, to this doting husband, because she has given him what it is he's wanted all this time. But when she finds out, like at the age of 40, that she's pregnant, because she's thinking we've been married 10, 13 plus years, I can't get pregnant. And she thought when she went to the doctor, she was sick. Something was wrong, and the doctor tells her that she's pregnant, and she just can't believe it. And it was so funny. It's like in the book, I could visualize them in the living room when she's telling him, and he comes home and he. I don't know how much of the book you want me to tell.
Just,
but
yeah.
His side chick is pregnant. And when his wife, tells him that she's pregnant, he's actually thinking that she's telling him that she knows about the side chick.
Side chick, yeah.
And everything. But like I said, I don't want to tell all of the book, because it's a really great read. I thoroughly enjoyed, like I say, I could definitely see, how you could pull from Amari Povich, the different, reality shows that are out there, because there's so much craziness on those reality shows.
Yes, every day.
Like, it can't be real life. But like I say, it was a really great read. And it does take different crooks and turns. And subsequently, in the end, I think to myself, the mistress, it's a big question mark. And I'm just thinking, I could see this being a sequel. But I'm gonna allow you to share. Like I said, I don't want to share too much of the book, but allow you to share a little bit more about the book that you would like to share, because like I said, I do find it to be a very interesting read, and I would encourage, anyone who is looking for, just the next feel good read. Like I said, I could see this being like one of those after school specials. Those what are those shows that I watch? I could see that the book being like on one of those shows, but I'll digress and allow you to share a little bit about the book.
Yeah, well, the wife, towards the end, she's grown tired of everything that he's been doing, and she finally had enough of it.
Okay.
And so they end up in the end getting a divorce, and I will revisit the story. I will revisit the story again in the future.
Okay. Like I said, I could see. I can definitely see a sequel.
Right now, I was going to make this into like a television series.
Okay.
I was taking a script writing class, and the professor suggested that instead of a television series, that he could see it being a movie.
Okay.
So now I'm in the process of reworking the script, TV series script, and making it into a movie.
Okay. Awesome. 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 And
so in that, I'll bring out more of the storyline.
Okay. Okay. So, and we do have a couple of questions. I'm looking over here from, I see we have Mary Dowd on with us. And she, if you're okay with taking some questions, if you guys do have some questions, put them in the comments section and I'll share them with the author and everything. She asked the question, how did you come up with the title Building Trust? And it's Broken Trust. But how did you come up with the title Broken Trust?
Broken Trust? Mm-hmm. Just everything that the husband was doing. Okay. He kept over and over again just lying to her, and she kept trusting him, and he kept breaking that trust over and over and over again. And I was kind of on the fence about the title of the book. Right. Because it started out, when I first started writing it, it was going to be called Child of the Side Chick. Oh. Okay, I like Broken Trust better. And yes, Mary, it is. It's Broken Trust. That's what it's called, Broken Trust. I like Broken Trust. I like Broken Trust better. But when you're writing, do you find, because you said you started writing back in 2020 and you've written 9 books, 9 books thus far, correct? Yes. Do you, is it when you're writing, do you find it easy for you to write? I mean, how long does it take you to complete a piece? It depends on how the story is flowing. Gotcha. If the story is flowing, it may take me maybe 2-3 months to write one. Mm-hmm. But if I start getting writer's ADD. Oh. Okay. Because sometimes I'll start writing and another idea will pop in my head. Okay. So I gotta stop that and start writing that idea out. Okay. And when that happens, it may take maybe a year or 2 to finish one. Oh, wow. Okay. So Broken Trust, it took me maybe a year and a half to finish it. Okay. Okay. Because different authors that I speak to, I find it interesting. Some of them tell me, they can write a book within 90 days. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Okay. But, I don't know where that comes from. If it comes from, just how long you've been writing or, how you can, do a complete book within 90 days. But I've had authors that I have spoken with that, share with me that it takes them a little bit of no time to just complete a book. But I find that interesting. And if, like I said, for those who are joining us tonight, if you do have questions, definitely feel free to, post those questions in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to ask the author. One question that I would like to ask you is, when it comes to your style of writing, or when it comes to the types of books that you have written, what 3 words would you say would best describe that? Forgiveness is one. Okay. And love. Okay. And trust. Okay.
Okay, so when you out of the 9 books that you've written, those are those are the words that you would use to describe those books.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay. And when it comes to being a writer, what and you may have said that in your beginning, what sparked your interest in writing? What made you
In
want
writing,
yeah, what made you want to become a writer?
um, I started writing probably when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was like during the summer months when you're out of school and you're having to stay with grandparents because your parents work. And my grandmother, she was a staunch soap opera watcher.
Okay.
And if you knew anything about growing up in the South around grandparents, when those stories were on, you had to sit still and watch and be quiet.
Okay.
So I was, for the most part, a bored child.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I would set up and I would write alternate endings to the soap opera storylines.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's impressive. I can relate to the summertime, having to stay with your grandparents and stuff like that. But that my grandparents was like, you got to get out the house. I mean, once you once you get up and clean up, you got to get out of my house. But make sure you come back before that street light come on. Those are the grandparents I grew up with. But yeah, I'm from the South, and I definitely can understand spending the summers with those grandparents. Um, but moving right along, when it comes to the message in your writing, like your books, um, overall for your reader, um, what would you like for them to take away uh, from your books? What is it that when you're writing your books, what is it that you're underlining messages that you want to convey in your books?
That no matter what you go through, you are not alone because there's someone else in the world that's going through the exact same thing that you're going through.
Okay.
And if you just put your trust in God, he'll get you through.
Okay. And it's so interesting that the main character in this book, uh, Maxwell, had a strong faith in God, and he was he was the type of man that he was. I found that I don't know, I just found that really interesting. I'm like, okay, kind of like an oxymoron. It's like, how does one, but okay.
It makes you wonder sometimes. There are men that's like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one last question for you. And this is something that I ask all of the authors that I interview. When it comes to an individual who is an aspiring author, what advice would you give them?
Um, the same advice that was given to me. If you want to be an author, if you want to write, be a writer, just start writing. Just start writing, get your ideas out, put them on paper, and then once your ideas are on paper, just go back and you can format it into a book later. Just get your ideas down and just write.
Okay.
You might not be bestseller right out the gate, but just keep on writing, keep on publishing, and eventually it will happen.
Okay. Okay. And that advice has been consistent across the board. It's like in all the years that I have met different authors, and I have met some wonderful authors. I'm like, um, I have been just really active with the literary world for um, a little over 10 years. I've read all my life, been a reader all my life, but just, putting events together and things like that and organizations together like that. And I have come across some really, really, really great authors. And, I just think to myself, they're just really humble, and I'm just like, do you know who you are? You know who you are? But it has been consistent across the board. I remember meeting Terry McMillan, and if I tell you, she is so humble, and that was the advice that she gave, and among others. But she's, I guess you could say, I've met some famous authors, but she's like the most famous and just really down to earth. And that was the advice that she had gave. So, and like I say, that advice has been consistent across the board. So, with that, author Greenlee, Karis Greenlee, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you again for joining me on tonight, for trusting.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it was a pleasure. And I'm looking forward to having you back again.
Okay.
And before we do end this broadcast, share with those who are watching us where they can purchase your book and where they can find you and any up and coming projects that you're working on currently as well.
Okay, you can find all my books on Amazon. They're either under Vanessa Harris Greenlee or Vanessa Harris.
Okay.
Let's see. And right now, I do have copies. And if they would like a autographed copy of some of my books, they can inbox me and I can give them my Cash App. Okay. And I will send them a autographed copy of one of my books.
Okay. That sounds good. That sounds good. Okay. And then I'll also make sure that we get the information and put it in the comment section as well. So they can, have that information there as well. But again, thank you so much for joining me. And I thoroughly enjoyed it and everything. Definitely continued success to you. And for those of you who do follow me, of course, Lit Convos is on all social media platforms. And like I said, for those of you who missed the broadcast, you can always go back and check out the replay. And as in parting, happy reading, book lovers. You guys enjoy your Friday night, TGIF. Take care.